Thank you very much for kind introductions. I'm Takaki Hatsui of RIKEN SPring-8 Center. And today I would like to talk about a slightly different aspect of the computational science, that is a new application probably, that is photon science. And I would like to discuss what is needed in this community. So here is the outline of my talk. First, I would like to talk what is photon science, and especially in 2020s. And then I would like to talk slightly more on detector technologies in connections with computational needs and our Citius detector. And lastly, I would like to discuss what is a kind of the data challenge in this domain. So our facility is not here. Actually, it is 80 kilometers from here, inside the mountains, Spring-8. And you can see it's close in this map. And probably in US it's a commute distance. But in Japan it takes about 1 hour. So. And in the mountain, we have large facilities based on accelerators. And photon science, we call it as X-ray science based on these big accelerators. In the Spring-8 side, we have two facilities. First one is the synchrotron radiation source, which we call Spring-8, operational since 1997. And we have 57 beamlines. So we are conducting a lot of science by using these beamlines. And circumference, just to note, it's 1.5 kilometers. So we have bicycles to move between the beamlines. And the continuous counting X-rays. And currently we are producing roughly 1 petabyte per year. And just beside, we are operating new facilities, X-ray electron laser. And that is operational since 2012. And currently we are operating 3 beamlines. Here it's 0.7 kilometers, and we have roughly 1.6 petabyte per year data production. So today I would like to focus on synchrotron radiation Spring-8. From the next, our ministry website, we can find 2 examples of the Spring-8. One is macromolecule structure. I just mentioned the presentation before. And one of the notable achievements is to elucidate the atomic structure of the protein related to influenza virus. So this kind of structure biology is a major applications of Spring-8 so far. Another big example is polymer science. So here, this facility together with J-Park and supercomputer, development of a high-performance fuel-efficient tire was enabled. And if you can see that left-hand side, you can see the conventional tires with heat dissipations. That means your gas fuel is used to heat your tires, whereas the new version of the tire, you don't see the heat. So let me move on how we are generating X-rays at Spring-8. In the beginning of 20th century, we are generating by using this kind of apparatus. It means we have electrons, and electrons goes into the metals inside the vacuums. And this physical mechanism was used until 1960s. And so the basic physical phenomena is that you are injecting electrons to the atomic nuclei, and the electron is rotated by the Coulombic force. And what we have as a measure of the performance of the X-ray sources is brilliance. Brilliance is related to how much X-ray photons you can focus on the unit area of the samples. So in the late 70s, we have invented new ways of generating X-rays. That is, moving electrons inside a vacuum, and you use the magnetic force to bend the electrons, which is moving at the speed of the light. And suddenly, brilliance improved dramatically. And then we invent many things, including the amplifiers, where we have many dipole magnets. And in this case, the light is square, the brilliance is square of the number of the magnet, so we can easily improve the brilliance. And one has found that the improvement of our light source is in fact faster than computational science. And so synchrotron radiation brightness is 3 times more in 18 months so far. So you can quickly imagine that the intensity of the light exceed sooner or later the speed of the computational resources. And in fact, in 2020s, synchrotron radiations is going to a new era. That is, we are now trying to use a so-called multi-band achromat electron lattice to confine the electrons. And by using these electron acceleration technologies, we can increase the brilliance furthermore. And this year, in France, ESRLF is now operating in this mode, and APSU in the US, they got funding to upgrade their ring, and the Petra 4 in Germany in SPring-2, what we call the upgrade of SPring-8, is waiting the funding approval. So we are really improving our ability in source. And when we look at the detection scheme, it's similar. So here we have several interactions, and I listed the detector needs. Today, to simplify my talk, I focus on elastic scattering or diffractions, which is used for structural identifications of the macromolecules and so on. In this case, we are measuring angular detection, so pixels are typically less than 100 micron or so. So this is really big, but instead we need to achieve very high dynamic range images, like 20 bits or 24 bits per pixel. And what we use the light X-rays in future light source in 2020s is that one way is to get faster recording. Since our light is 100 to 1,000 times brighter than before, we can instead exposure in 1 second, we can get the image within 1 millisecond. So we can quickly look at the dynamics of the materials. The other end is higher dynamic range. We are looking at higher and high quality data, and then we can identify tiny difference of the atomic structure. And the last one is the high resolutions or pixel count, because we can record the wide angle scattering where we normally not able to see the new light sources. We can see weaker signals, so we need to have more pixel count. And we need to achieve these new needs simultaneously while keeping the beauty of the existing detectors. And my story is that we can do it by using our new detector Citius. So our detector is based on new architecture that is a charge integration type. I don't go into detail in this talk, but previously we are counting the photon number simply, but now we are detecting the charge in quite detail, and also high speed, and by using some of the time interval extended dynamic range detectors. So here is how it looks like. So right-hand side, I show a mock-up of the 2 megapixel camera head. We cannot see quite little, but here we have 8 sensor modules, and each of them have 0.3 megapixel per sensor, and each runs at 17.4 kiloframe per second. We are not courage enough to make wafer scale sensors, but we are trying to tie the sensor to cover a large area of the detector area. And we plan to have maximum 20 megapixel or 32 times 32 centimeter square. So here is the prototype camera. Instead of, we are now evaluating the final chip, and instead, because our evaluation is not yet complete, instead we present the result by operating the prototype cameras. And the prototype camera houses one prototype sensor with 70 kilopixels. But we designed capacitive and resistive load to mimic final 0.28 megapixels, so this sensor performance should be identical to the final sensors. So now I would like to explain how this sensor operates. So horizontal axis is the time, vertical axis is the charge generated by each photons. So you can see that we have a lot of photons. The ideal output of the detector is that we call the charge, which is proportional to the time when the intensity is identical. Now, conventional detector, integration type detector, because of the low saturations at low flame rate, we see frequently desaturations, and it doesn't behave as ideal detector. Instead, our new detector, next generation detector Citius, we have high saturations and high speed, high frame rate. And our choice is shown here. So very fast detector. And by summing these frames, we can quickly get the ideal output at the end. So now I would like to compare the conventional photon counting detector. We have two limitations. One is that the count rate is limited, around 10 CPS, and the other disadvantage is that because the photon is counted at the pixel level, when the high flux X-rays reaches the pixel, we have big deviations from the ideal output to the real output. At the 10 mega CPS, 10 mega count per second, we have 40% deviations. On the other hand, our new detector, we have linear output. Here we see the deviation to the linear output is less than 0.5%, which is demonstrated by our actual detector. And the target 30 mega count per second is already achieved with a big margin, and we can record in extended mode equivalent to 600 mega CPS. So we have two orders of magnitude big jump in this detector. And now I would like to move on how images are looks like. So in weak regime, here the frames are shown at slow frame rate, but actually the detector is running at 17.4 kiloframe per second, and and you can see X-ray photons here. And by summing these frames, of course, we can see something here, the dry twitch. And it is more than that. If you analyze each photon by photons, then we can get photon energy informations because the charge is proportional to the output of the sensors. And here we can see clearly that the 3D transition metal element is clearly resolved. So element information can be extracted in the data stream. And by using this relationship, you can also get multiple images at different photon energy. If you look at this, the low photon energies, then the skin of the dry fish is opaque. It means we can clearly see the outer muscle of the dry fish, whereas the higher photon energy, you can only see the bones and so on, which is highly dense materials. And that means this is an example of the data pre-processing. So analysis of 1 second frame or 15,000 frames gives you the output analysis of around 100 frames. So information were kept, but we can reduce the data in such a way. Another possibility is to look at the charge spread. And since the charge spread is spread over the pixels, so we can conduct the sub-pixel resolutions. And this is a kind of the demonstration by using 30 micron physical pixel detectors. So this is IC, and we don't see clearly the wire bonding between the IC and the pads, but here we can clearly see the wires here. So we can get more information on spatial directions. So data challenge, and I would like to mention what is the data challenge associated with this detector. Conventional photon counting detector, if your X-ray photons hit on the hair, then charge is distributed to 4 pixels like this. But internally, you have a threshold circuitry that only the photons that goes over 0.5 photons is registered to be 1, and the other pixels is discriminated. So you get smaller data size, but at the expense of the loss of the information. So you cannot get any information on X-ray energy or pixel resolution. Instead, the new generation charge integration detector, you can transfer all these information to the outside digital world. So you get larger data size, but more information if you can successfully calculate these data. And that is happy, but if you look at the data size, it's scary. So at the largest system that we are aiming at is generating 1.4 terabyte per second. Assuming that 4,000 hours per year operations and only 20% we use data acquisition, then it goes still 6 exabytes per year. So low data storage, not practical. So we need to store process data with meaningful information by edge computing. And what I have shown before is that pixel resolutions or photon energy resolutions. Then the analysis change is shown here. What is important is that we still, at the 30 frames per second, we can do it with conventional CPU with 8 core power. But in the system that I have shown, and at the speed that Citius can run, we can estimate the calculation cost, and that goes around 20,000 threads. So calculations is certainly significant cost, but reduces the data size significantly, isn't losing the information. So we need to develop on the fly calculations, and that will be amassed in Photon Science. And after that, what happens? So in the objective performance requirement is listed here. So by using some data analysis card, we reduce the data down to 500 frames per second. Then the data outlet in gigabps unit goes down to 154 gigabps and further reduced down to 46 by taking account of the duty ratio of 30%. But even this data rate, we will have around 400 petabytes per year for running 5 systems. So this is enormous. And we need to think about minimum performance requirements. Even at the minimum performance requirement, reducing the frame rate and also the output of the pre-edge computing down to 100 frames per second, we get roughly 80 petabytes per year for 5 systems. I have said that we have 57 bin lines, so only 5 systems is not enough, and that we have here a big need of data. So I would like to say that this kind of data generation demands critical HPC needs for us and for data analysis, storing, and archiving. Right now, we are developing data visualizations and storage in order to meet, to some extent, these needs. So first is the data cache storage, 4 days, 300 terabytes. And on-site computing resource will be constructed, and we are seeking to collaborate local computing resource and some with cloud resource. This is not only us. Actually, last week we had a 3-way meeting where all the large facilities gathered, and in the case of ESRF in France, they are saying like 20 to 45 petabytes per year. And in the case of US APS facility, they are seeing over 100 petabytes per year generations after 2024. And they are also saying that 50 petaflops at peak computation power is reserved for APS. They are also saying other priority areas in computing, like data management, workflow tools, real-time data analysis, on-demand utilization of the HPCs and the storage and archival. In summary, Photon Science is an X-ray science based on accelerator facility, and X-ray delivered to sample will be 100 to 1,000 brighter in coming years. And here is a list of the facilities. 2 facilities are already funded, and 2 facilities are waiting the queue of the funding. Our detector is the next generation detector, which is suited for this kind of brighter light source. And the detector itself, we are starting the commissioning this fall. We have a big jump from conventional photon counting detectors, not only the detector technology, but also the data infrastructure. Data rate may reach 6 exabytes per year per system without serious consideration of the data infrastructure. But even we consider the limits of the data infrastructure, we will probably get around 80 petabytes per year at Spring-8. In order to handle these data, we need to have proper edge computing and HPC infrastructure. And we need to talk a lot on compression, information extraction, and so on. So one of the conclusions here is that photon science will soon be an area, another area of data science. And that is a big conclusion of our 3-day meeting last week. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the members of RIKEN, and justly, especially the George-san over there, and also Yamada-san and Abe-san over there, who contribute to the design of this detector system, and also the contribution from RIKEN R-CCS members for the nice discussions and the fruitful collaborations right now. Thank you very much.